Welcome once again to Holistic African Spirituality, and today we'll be looking at our origins in part. It's a very, very broad subject, but I sort of have a very simple formula, a mathematical formula that speaks to us volumes, tells us who we are and where we came from, and sort of goes back trying to trace our ancestors. Right? I think it's very, very important for that to happen. Yeah, I think it's very important. Actually, it's the foundation of who we are. A lot of us Africans are recipients, unfortunately, of colonial Western education, and this education was meant to produce very good workers, to produce very good servants, to produce people who didn't know who they were, and who they are, and who they'll be. And I can say that education did a lot and has done a lot. Of course, a lot of destruction to us as Africans. When it comes to African spirituality, African spirituality has always been and will be holistic. It encompasses everything about life. So we're talking about marriage, relationships, work, spirituality, and business, personal development. We're looking at rites of passage. There's so many. It encompasses everything about a human being, about the development of a human being to be most successful. It taught us about our origins, who we are, and where we came from through oral tradition. It's because one of the things that Christianity and other religions have done in Africa or to black people, is to bring this sort of idea that life is so simple. Yes, life is simple, but extremely complex, extremely, because very few Christians know their lineage. They only know, most blacks know up to maybe their grandfather or their great grandfather or their great grandparents. No one knows beyond that. And I had a very interesting experience having been brought. I consider myself as one of the most blessed people, all Africans, because I spent time with my grandmother. I was born and raised at her place, my grandmother's place, and I spent a lot of time with my grandmother. And she was a practitioner of African spirituality, and so she taught me and brought me up using that philosophy. And so I used to ask her a lot of questions, unlike parents, for example, or say you find Africans who are Christianized, they don't entertain that way of thinking from children, where they sit down with you and you start asking them questions. I remember going to school and we were not allowed to ask questions or to think for ourselves, because for some reason teachers thought that was rude, which is ridiculous, right? Because the process of learning is asking questions and thinking for yourself. So, but that's Western education, especially colonial education in Africa, right? So I spent time with my grandmother, and I used to think that where my grandmother and my grandparents lived, in growing up, that's what I thought that's where we came from. And so one day I was chatting with my grandmother, and I was like, yeah, so when did you guys start living here? Because the casual, we just used to have these conversations where we would start like nothing, just a normal conversation. And she smiled and started laughing, like not in a nasty way, but and shaking her head. And she was like, no, this is not where we come from. I was like, what do you mean? What do you mean this is not where we come from? Because I always, if someone had asked me, where do you come from? Where were you? Where are your grandparents from? I would have pointed at my grandmother's place, and I thought that our family had always lived there. And so she went on to explain to me that actually no, this is my family of my grandfather. My grandfather bought this land, and so she went on telling me where we came from, right? And I was shocked. I was there going like, this is crazy. This in my head I was like, this is amazing, right? And not only that, when she started going to other countries outside my country, I went crazy. I was like, this is not happening. This is not real. This is not real. Because I was like, this is true education. This is African spiritualism in its raw form, very raw form. And so when she started mentioning neighboring countries, I was like, not just one country, and not just two. And she's like, she started mentioning the third country, and I was like, oh my God. And I was now trying to contrasting what I was learning from school about history. I was like, this is ridiculous. This is there's nothing. And ask anyone who was a recipient of colonial or this so-called Western education, ask them about whether if they were taught anything about who they are, and the answer is no, because that's not the intent, that's not the objective. No, the so-called Christian missionaries who are on a mission, and we know what their mission was and is, right? Their mission wasn't to make you know who you are, to make me know who I am. That was not the intent. The intent was to confuse us, and in that mode, in that process of being confused and being completely ignorant of your roots, it was very easy, and it's easy today to then come and plant in other thoughts and say that group is chosen by God, and that group isn't chosen by God, or God is greater than your God, so we're going to kill you because our God is ordering you and ordering us to kill you, because if we don't kill you, you're going to kill us. That's where we find ourselves. So I have this mathematical formula, which is very, very basic, very, very simple, and it takes you from yourself going down to your parents, your grandparents, your great-grandparents, and you look at those numbers, because those numbers going to millions represent who you are, represent who you and where you came from. Now, this is not wishful thinking, this is not faith, right? I always tell people that and the reality is African spiritualism isn't about faith, isn't about belief. It's about tangible stuff, right? It's about facts. When we talk about who you are, it's not about, oh, you believe that you come from this tribe or that tribe, right? That's not the thing. When you, it's about, can I prove that? Can I prove this? You can't prove it. So it takes you. This formula will take you beyond your great-grandparents, to your great-great. It goes beyond to millions and millions of Africans who came together to give birth to you. You are that, and you cannot escape from it. Now, and I want you to look at Africa. I want you to look at your country. I want you to look at Africa, and then you logic tells you that those numbers, those people groups, those millions, those hundreds of thousands of Africans had to intermarry. They had to have come from all of Africa. That's the only logical conclusion. Now, there's a very interesting finding about Egypt, about one of the pharaohs, Ramesses the third, and his son. And I'm going to put the link in the description. And when they did the DNA, they found out that they traced his roots to Uganda. Right? An Egyptian ruler who ruled many years before there was a single Christian in Africa, and so many years before the birth of the so-called Jesus Christ, and the first civilization that we know of, right? We all know that everything started happening in Africa. That a king, a ruler of that caliber, had roots in Uganda. They traced his roots to Uganda, to a tribe in Uganda. Americans who are doing their lineage, they want to find out who they are through DNA. They are shocked, because some are finding out that they are Liberians, some are finding out that they are Kenyans, they are Somalis, they are from Mozambique, they are Sudanese, they are South Africans. They come from all these different people groups in Africa, but all this time they've been thinking, we're Black Americans, but you can be a Black American, or an American of African origins, but you have your origins. Now, what made this possible? Our ancestors understood this truth. They understood this truth, that we are one people, and they intermarried. Why did they intermarry? They intermarried because it's the process of life. They understood it. They knew it. They knew that, and as I keep saying that their spirituality, the different spiritual systems in Africa never competed. They never fought with each other. They never ever fought with each other. So African spirituality, as I'm saying, never competed with each other. They never fought. They never decided one day to go and invade a country in Africa or a region in Africa to go and change them to be followers of their God, or and start practicing, having different spiritual practices. It's never happened. That's not the way they thought, because they were tolerant. They understood through nature. They understood that human beings are different, and human beings have different ways of doing different things, and have different ways of looking at have different worldviews, looking at everything. They understood it, and they knew that it's impossible for you to have a group, or to say that, we are the ones who are right because our God is with us. That never existed. But through Christianity and other religions, it's possible. Why? Because it's crazy. It doesn't make sense. It's abnormal. That's an abnormal thing to say that that we are right and you are wrong. That our God is right, our God has chosen us, that our God loves us, and the idea that our God has given us your land. We are coming to take over your land and your women and your children, and we are going to kill all the men. That's not African, and it'll never be African. We all know, if you follow up the news, that there's a very nasty war that is happening in Mozambique and other countries, but I'm going to talk about Mozambique right now because it's happening right now. There's a religious war. Now, do you know the shocking thing? The shocking thing is this. I've been in the security industry for many years. In fact, I'm a security consultant, and part of one of the things that I do, one of my professions. And whenever I see communities being attacked, you hear a particular community being attacked by, say, different warring religious groups, they happen through insider information, insider intelligence. It's usually people from that community who convert to that particular religion. They go to those leaders and they tell them exactly what they want to hear or what they ask for. Can you tell us how these people live? Can you tell us when you sleep? Can you tell us the way to go in? Can you tell us? So they share this intelligence. So these are usually mostly young men from these communities who join these foreign religions. And when they join these religions, it could be Christianity, it could be Islam, it could be other religions, but all of them are foreign, right? The religions that are making us to fight in Africa, they're foreign. They're not the religions of our ancestors. So no one should confuse about. So what happens is when they join them, they share the intelligence with them. So inevitably what happens is it's the young men who ensure that their mothers, their cousins, their distant relatives, their friends, their neighbors are killed in the name of their religion or in the name of the God that they have now believed in. But before they believed in that God, before they became religious, they looked at all those people as my brothers, my sisters, my teachers, my neighbors. Because if you don't have any influence or any foreign god in you as an African, there's no reason for you to look at someone and say that God hasn't chosen them. It doesn't happen in any form of African spiritual system. It does not happen for many reasons, and one of the reasons is it does not make sense. That's a make-believe world, that our God is greater than your God, and so we'll come and kill you. Who are you killing? You're killing your parents. You're destroying your communities. You're destroying, and if you are to do, this is what I tell people, if these guys who are doing this, if they dropped all those religious beliefs, foreign gods, and they decided to work with facts, you'll find out one thing, that we are one. It's impossible for us not to be one. Am I saying that we don't have our differences? Of course there are differences in terms of philosophical differences, ideology, whatever you wanna call it. There are differences all over. But that does not negate the fact that we are one. And we can prove, it's proven, it can be proven, and you can prove it yourself that you're one. That the people that you hate most, when you do your family history, you find out that your great grandfather and your great grandmothers, they were married. And you're like, what? Is this my family? Yeah. That's your family. Because that's the way it is. Now, if anyone were to tell me, I found out that my roots take me to different African countries. And I was shocked because, as I'm saying, this is not something that I couldn't think of it, because it's not the end. I would say the colonial education that I received did not allow me to think beyond the books. But truth has to be beyond books. Our oral tradition, when my grandmother sat down with me, and I did ask my grandmother a question, I was like, why don't these people tell us? Why don't these teachers teach us this kind of? And she was like, because they're being paid. They're doing a job, and they're told they're under strict instructions to teach you certain things. That this is an old black woman, a freedom fighter, who was telling me this. Now, were it not for my grandmother, I wouldn't have known those rules. I was, subsequently going over this information with some family members, and they were shocked. In fact, yeah, they were shocked. They were like, "What are you talking about? Do you mean we have roots in this country and that country and that country?" I was like, "Yes." So they started, people, and the thing is, when you start digging back, when you start going back, you will be, I would have to say, you'll be flabbergasted. You'll be shocked. You'll be like, "What?" But that what comes with empowerment. The empowerment that makes you understand that we are one, and that you can't fight your family. Right? Your family sometimes, they do some crazy, they do some weird things. But you're like, "No, I'm not, family, that's the way family is. I'm not gonna take a weapon and start shooting them or do whatever or sabotage this and that, because they're family." So this is the understanding that we need to bring to our young ones. We need to bring to ourselves. And when I tell guys this, especially Africans, whenever you see old people, try as much as you can to spend time with them. Spend time with them and have a lot of questions. And when these old people, guys in their 90s, they 100, 80s, going to 90, 100 and something, and a lot of them are there and they are sane, they still have their brains, they're working in perfect condition, they will tell you things that will shock you. Start doing your family tree as an African, right? And you very soon you change the tune. "Oh, I don't like these guys from this country. They're living." That's where your 100th great grandmother came from. "I don't like this tribe." Really? Oh, you don't like the tribe that your grandfather, your great grandfather came from? You see the ignorance. See tribalism. "Oh yeah, this tribe and that tribe." No, there is no such thing. It does not exist. This is a Western thing that people have, Western education and Western gods and Western religions that has brought this to us. They knew it. They knew that if you ask, you'll be told. I was again, my grandmother, chatting to my grandmother, and there was around where we came from, there were these guys. Some of them were my friends. I knew the family, and they looked different. And I remember asking my grandmother, I was like, "Yeah, you know what? These guys, where did they come from?" And again, my grandmother, being a wonderful woman, African woman, pure woman, who never spoke a word of English. She never spoke English. She didn't know these foreign languages and stuff. She wasn't a recipient of Western education, or I'll say to some point. She told me the story of their grandfather, of this my friend's grandfather, and that this guy, a young man, maybe I think in 20s or 30s. They just saw this guy come from a particular country, a particular part of the country, and walked in, and became part of the community. And he came and he asked for work. He was like, "Do you have any jobs that I can do?" And then there were lots of jobs, and the family guys were giving him jobs and stuff. And very soon he became part of the community, and it was time for him to marry. So he got married. And he got married, had kids, and the interesting thing, he wasn't from our tribe. So for me, I was like, "What do you mean?" Yeah, my grandmother was like, "He wasn't from our tribes, but that's not how we lived." They never thought, "Oh, this person is from a different tribe." No, they were like, "Okay, if you want to come to live with us and you want to join us, then this is how we live. This is what we do. Be our guest." And that's what happened. And there's so many stories like that. There are many stories of women who are traveling to go to some place, and they found maybe a child who was abandoned, and they were like, oh, this kid is from a different tribe, but they'll take that child, and then there are no social services. The social services were the communities, the community spirit. They'll bring in the kid and raise, and the kid will be raised as their own, and they'll take upon the name of the community, start speaking the language. And when they were of age, they got married and had a family, and they became grandparents and great-grandparents, that kind of thing. Now trace that. If you were to trace that story, you'll be told. And sometimes it's you cry because of the love and the care. And you'll be told, yeah, your grandfather was, or your grandmother, your grandmother was found in the bushes. And these women were going to fetch water. They had someone crying, a child crying. They were like, oh. And the way you were wrapped and stuff, they knew that you are not from the tribe, because different tribes had different ways of identifying each other. And they're like, oh, we knew that. And they were thinking, oh, they must have been traveling, going somewhere far, or maybe one of their daughters was scared of going back, or taking this kid, or being pregnant, and they would put children and somewhere, and she put this kid somewhere in a bush, knowing that was a path that these women would take to go and fetch water. And you'll be told that's how the grandmother that you love so much, or your great grandmother that you love so much, you'll be told that's how she was. That's where she came from. And now you can decide to, okay, which tribe did she come from? And you'll be told, oh, that tribe. And then you find out that, oh my God, that's the tribe that I've always hated. Being a tribalist as an African is the most ignorant of things on earth that you can do. As an African, being a tribalist. It's the most ignorant thing that you can do. If you look at the freedom fighters in Africa, different countries, they came from different tribes. They worked together for a common goal, for a common purpose. But even what is greater is you doing the math. Do the math. Go back to your parents, to your grandparents, and you go further down and down and down and down to the millions and millions and millions of Africans. And you tell me you think you're from that tribe? It's impossible for you to be. This tribe thing is crazy. Then add that craziness to foreign religions, foreign faith. Yeah, I'm a Christian. This is what we believe in. Blah, 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 blah. Really? Oh, I'm Muslim. This is what. Who are we before Christianity? That's what I'm talking about. Who are we before Islam? Who are we before any other religion in Africa? Who are we? We are first Africans. We are first family. We are interconnected because our forefathers, our ancestors intermarried. It's just the truth. If Ramesses III and his son, right? If they can be traced to Uganda, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? You need to trace yourself. You remember South Africans who were calling Africans, they were calling them foreigners? And I was laughing not because of, I was like, this is the most weird thing, crazy thing. Yeah, we don't want foreigners in our country. They are doing this. And I was thinking, are you kidding me? Foreigners? You're calling Africans foreigners in Africa, right? You're calling Africans foreigners in Africa. But that's what Western education does to you. It makes you nuts. As an African, it makes you crazy. because you don't think for yourself. You don't look at things objectively. You are taught to look at things subjectively. Your scope of looking at things is so narrowed. You can't see you can't see beyond what you're being told. But you need to go further than that. If those guys who were saying that and killing Nigerians, because the Nigerians were most affected, and Somalis, you'll be shocked. They would have been shocked. And they would be shocked if they do it right now. Because they'll be told, hey, you know what? Your great-great-great-great-great-great-grandfather came from Somali. And the question that I'd ask is, do you mean that now I have Somali blood? Oh, yeah, you do? Of course you do. You know the guys that you're talking about, Nigerians? And you're going to fight, destroy, kill, maim Nigerians? I'm like, yeah, your great grandmother, she was Nigerian. Are you serious? Yes, we are serious, because your great grandfather traveled to Nigeria to gone there on business and stuff, and the next thing met a lovely young Nigerian lady, got married, and we came back home to South Africa. And she's South African. She's wonderful. And you start crying. You want to pull your eyes, your heart. You want to, because you realize something, that by destroying another African, you're destroying yourself. You're destroying yourself. That's just the reality. Are churches in Africa teaching this? No. Why? Because the element of God has chosen this group, and the element of God has chosen that group is there in all foreign religions. And thus I'm speaking as a theologian, I'm speaking as an African, I'm speaking as an African spiritualist, I'm speaking as a preacher who's preached the so-called Bible for many, many years, and who is now a practitioner of African spiritualism, which is holistic in nature, and I know what I'm talking about. Because it's factual. The Christian church cannot preach that. There is no other foreign religion in Africa that can tell Africans that we are one. Today, like Sunday, so many Christians went to different churches, denominations. Every denomination has their own constitution. They have their own faith or belief system. And many cannot work. And they tell their members, we cannot work with that Christian group, and with that Christian group, and with that Christian group. Why? They don't believe what we believe. Really? Oh yeah. But my mother goes to that Christian group. Yeah, that can be the truth. She's your mom, yes, but God hasn't chosen your mom. Oh, okay. So if those people were to say it, they were to tell you or this kind of people to do something to that group because God hasn't chosen them, they'll do it. They'll gladly do it. Because it's poison. We were poisoned. This is what I'm telling you, and I keep saying, and I'll never stop saying this. We were poisoned, and you can see the poison that's happening right now in Mozambique. You saw the poison in South Africa and other nations, where communities they take up arms and go after other communities. And please listen, I'm not saying that before Western education and Christianity or any influence into our thinking, that there were not, that communities or tribes did not fight, were not warring. No, that's what I'm saying. No. They used to fight. But what were they fighting for? The war was different. The war wasn't about we hate you. No. The war was you have water and you have land, we need our animals to graze. So the war was about survival. If we don't go to war with these people, we're going to die. So we go to war, we make amends, we get what we want, and life continues. But it wasn't a religious war. So you never find, and again I say this, war between communities, and ask anyone who is of age, ask them, wars, during those times, there were warriors. War wasn't for women and children. You'll not hear anyone going to kill women and children. No, it was about warriors, our soldiers and your soldiers, our men of war and our men of war, and our women of war and women of war. They will fight. If you win, you win. If you lose, you lose. Okay? And life continues. But it was not religious. So my fellow Africans, wherever you are, knowing this truth is one part of you having peace, and a lot of peace. And it's a lot, it will make you to be, not to be a tribalist. My grandmother used to tell me, she used to tell me, we our family, we're not tribalist. Do you know why? I've told you. I was thinking, it's so funny, because I was thinking of my tribe, and I was like, yeah, we are the tribe. You know, we are the tribe in this country, and we do this and that. Yeah, we are the tribe. And my grandmother that was a house of cards that I'd built in my head through Christianity and through Western education. So I couldn't think beyond myself. But spending time with this wonderful woman, she broke it down for me, and she was telling me, you cannot be tribalist. And she'll give me reasons. We've intermarried with almost all tribes here. Right? When she started telling me that I have a relative, we have a relative from this country, and I was like, oh my God. I was like, are you serious? And she would introduce me to people and tell me, do you know so-and-so? Yeah. Do you know where the wife comes from? I was like, no, she comes from this country. I'm like, oh my God. Now tell me if I had a thing against those people. Who am I having a thing against? Me? So when you start doing this, sifting, you're looking for yourself. You're looking for who you are. Right? Whether you're in the Caribbean, you're in America, you're wherever, you're from Ghana, Nigeria, Somali, you're from Zaire, you're from everywhere in Africa, and you start going back and back and back, you'll be shocked. So you stop looking at yourself as, I'm coming from this tribe, but the bigger picture, I'm African. I'm from Mama Africa. We are all from Mama Africa. Right? Our ancestors understood this. They knew this. And it's just the truth. So for my fellow Africans who are fighting in Mozambique, fighting in other places, I hope you get to hear this before you take that weapon and aim it at another African. You're aiming at your brother. You're aiming this at your mother. Yes, she might be from a different tribe. You might think that's what you might think, but it's because you don't know who you are. Because you find out that your great-great-great-great-grandmother actually came from that tribe. And so the person that you're shooting your own blood. You're destroying your own community. That's just factual. And please, I'm asking this. Do Christians teach this in their churches? Do bishops and archbishops stand and tell people that? No, they do not, and they will never do it. Do you hear this in mosques and other places? You don't hear it. But you hear about our God has told us this. You go to the education system. Do you hear this? No, you do not. No child is. Our history as a people, where we come from, isn't emphasized. But that's the foundation for everything. Who are you? Who are you? Where did you come from? Where did you come from? And people say, yeah, I'm from this tribe. Yeah, we come. Like if someone asked me, then I would say, yeah, we come from this area. This is where my family comes from. And my grandmother was there laughing, and she was laughing. She laughed and she was like, oh my God. I think she must have been thinking, oh God, oh this Western education is messing up my grandchildren. It's messing up everything. It's messing because it doesn't allow you to do that. It doesn't allow you to think to connect the dots. And those dots, once you connect them, you can never say, like the South Africans who are saying that we don't want foreigners. Foreigners are... What are you talking about, foreigners? We're not foreigners. We don't have black foreigners in Africa. We will never have them. Nigerians are our brothers and sisters. Ghanaians are our brothers and sisters. Somalis are our brothers and sisters. I'm not talking about Somali Muslims or Nigerian Muslims or Christians. No, I'm talking about just being you as a pure African. When you add these impurities, these foreign impurities, that's what happens. When you start praying to these foreign gods to save us, save you from what? You need to save yourself from ignorance. You need to save yourself from ignorance. And you need to start looking deeply at who you are. And once you do this, I know you'll find out the truth. And you start crying. This pure hatred, these people who have this venomous hatred, they're like, oh, I hate this people group. I have this tribe. I know God has chosen them. No. And you find out, oh, actually your great-grandfather was found injured as a young man by the tribe that you think you're from, right? And they took care of him, they nursed him, and he became healthy. And then he married your great-great-great-grandmother. But actually, he's not from that tribe. No, but that tribe took care of him and gave him a family. So why not for that tribe that you really, really hate? Right? Your grandfather wouldn't be there. That's where he came from. But he was saved by this tribe that you think is... But so when you have this venom against that tribe, you're having a venom against who? Yourself. I can't overemphasize this. This is crazy, because when I look at it and when I started going through the numbers and going back, I was like, it's impossible for us to have come from one region through these numbers. If you go, it's going to millions, right? It's going to crazy. If you go again times two from yourself, it's going to millions back. So it tells you, when you look at the population of Africa then and even now, it's just impossible to have come from one region through mathematics, right? Through science doesn't lie. The answer is right there. So guys, I tell people who are praying for tribalism, oh God, we pray for tribalism to end in the name of whoever, in the name of... No. You do not need to pray for tribalism to end. You need to just look at the facts. Stop being ignorant. Start asking the right questions. Who am I? Dad, where did you come from? Mom, where did you come from? You go to your grandfather, where did you come from? They tell your story, and then the picture will start emerging, right? You start seeing the picture, connecting the picture. If you're Nigerian who is Ghanaians, for whatever reason, I don't like them all Ghanaians or whatever, you find out that, oh my God, I'm Ghanaian. So you'll be Ghanaian Nigerian, you'll be Nigerian Ghanaian, you'll be Kenyan Somali, you'll be... It's just like the Kenyans who are fighting. This again, you look at the war between Kenya and Somalia, this religious war, right? They believe this, we don't believe this. Oh, okay, you're not going to do it to us because we're from this religion and we believe this. But if those people are to sit down and start looking at each other's family trees, they'll find that they're bombing each other. You find that the place that you drop this bomb, you'll be told, actually, that's where your great to the power of 20 came from. That's actually that village, that area. Yeah, that's where he came from. That's where your great-grandfather times this number came from. And you start crying. because you bombed your own people. You bombed your own family. You slaughtered your own family. But do you see how these foreign religions have done to us? These foreign concepts have done to us? But when you talk about African spiritualism, everyone thinks that we're crazy. They think, oh yeah, this is some spooky stuff. These are some spiritual things. This is some devilish thing. No, being devilish is not knowing who you are. Being devilish is being ignorant, right? Praying for things that don't make sense. How can you pray for tribalism to end? You want your God to come and do some magic? Yeah? Oh, we're gonna sing now, and this God is going to send his angels, and tribalism will end. No, it doesn't work that way. It ends by you sitting down and doing what you need to do to figure out who you are. And if we did that, no one will be tribal. No one will have tribalism in them. Nobody. And don't even go far. I tell people, don't go that far. Just go to your great grandparents. Just go up there. Just to your great grandparents. Because most of you don't know who they were. Yeah, because the so-called godly people didn't want you to know that. They want you to know that you have Somali origins. They want you to know that you have Ethiopian origin. You had Egyptian origin. You had Sudanese, South African. You're from the Congo, right? They didn't want you to know that. Because what happens if you figure out that you're from that country? Oh my God, you love them. You just want to go there, and you want to go there, and you want to talk to people and find out, like a lot of Americans, Africans of American Americans of African origin. They're traveling. They're coming back to Africa to trace their roots. Because you can't sleep, because you're like, oh my God, I come from this place. I need to go and find out, to hear these stories, to hear who these people are. My family. They're my family. I need to go there, and I need to find myself. It's just the reality. That's how you deal with tribalism. Not prayer. Not this religious figure is going to pray for us and throw some smoke or I don't know what and the cross and do this and do some signs, and then we're gonna have peace. No. Peace is within us. Peace resides in us. So you figure out that when I tell you, not just me, that we are made up all these ancestors and that they're not dead, they're in us, it's factual. You made up all these millions and millions of people. These hundreds of thousands of people from different regions in Africa and some outside of Africa, but we are concentrating on Africa. Then you can now start living. It was a joy when I was telling one of my family members about who we are, because she didn't know. This woman didn't know. And guess what? She's a doctor, a medical doctor, but she didn't know. She didn't know who she was. But she's a recipient of Western education to the point of being a doctor, but she didn't know her roots. I was telling her, I was like, yeah, I spent time with my grandmother, and my grandmother told me this, and this is where we are from. And she was like, oh my God, she was going crazy. She was like, yeah. I was like, this is where we're from. Our ancestors traveled from this. They came from this country because when kids, the oral tradition was like a blueprint for us as Africans, where knowledge was passed on from one generation to the other through word of mouth. They will sit down with you. You'll be told, this is where we come from. And my grandmother told me that that's what she was told, but by her grandmother. So my grandmother is passing this knowledge after being passed on to, and when you trace back, when you go back, you're like, oh, actually that's, and you ask other people, and you're like, oh yeah, we know that we came from this place. Oh, this is a sweet message, man. This is cool. So guys, do the math. Do the math and let the love flow. Let the wars cease. It's not worth dying because of foreign gods or worth dying because of ignorance. No. Our ancestors would not have wanted us to find ourselves in the mess that we find ourselves in. And I'll be talking about sometime, because this is very serious. I'll be talking about how families have been destroyed by religions. I'll talk about that, where you find families, in one family of 7 or 8 or wherever, each and every individual goes to a different church or subscribes to a different religion. That's a perfect way of destroying a family. It's happening every time. Or we're gonna pray. Oh, we can't pray with you because we don't believe what. But that's a separate topic. I'll talk about it in the near future, hopefully. So I wish you all the best, guys. I had to talk about this because it's amazing. And I'll put up the story of Ramesses III from Egypt. And I'll put up the story of Ramesses III, this wonderful Egyptian king who was traced back to Uganda. Isn't it amazing? I was talking to someone the other day, and I was like, isn't it amazing if you found out that this is what our ancestors did, right? What they did was amazing. Think about this. You find that you have connection with King Ramesses III, that wonderful Egyptian king, and you hear that they found his tomb or they found his treasure. Now, I was talking to someone last week, and I asked him this question. Now, who does that treasure belong to? And you know how the Egyptians were. The gold, the everything, the bling bling, everything. Right? And they say, oh, we found his tomb, we found this, we found the family, and it changes everything about you. It changes everything when you find out that's your relative. Right? You can go you have the right to go, yo, what's up? What's up with this treasure? what's going down with my great grandfather's goods? What's happening here? So it changes everything about you. Can you listen? How cool is it as a Ugandan just chilling out somewhere and you're talking to people and they're talking about their relatives? Oh yeah, I know. And you're like, you're not gonna believe this when I tell you who my great grandfather was. And I'll tell us, is this a guy from down the road? You're like, no. He was a king. King? What do you mean king? Yeah, he was King Ramesses III. That's my great grandfather. Your friends, the way they treat you, the way everything changes from that point. Oh my God. People will be saying, come and see that family. The family where he's, they have this king. It changes everything about you. Your perception, the way people think of you, everything about you, the way you look at yourself changes. Brothers and sisters, I can keep talking about this for hours and hours. I have to end. I wish you well. I wish you that you return back. We all return back to the ways of our ancestors. Our ancestors were not evil men. They will never be evil. They were wonderful people. And that's why they brought us here. And we need to carefully think about ourselves and our origin. And we are going to eliminate a lot of issues. We're going to deal with a lot of issues. Tribalism, religious wars, and a lot of issues. We'll be able to look at each other as one big, blessed family. Because we truly are blessed. Thank you. And I wish you all the best. Bye-bye.